Okay, today I'm planning to put a rim, about a 2-inch rim, some people call it a shim, on top of this hive. I'm going to put it underneath this inner cover. Here's the inner cover, there's the inner cover hole, and the rim will be right here. And it'll lift that inner cover up by about 7 centimeters or 2 inches, and it will allow me to put some sugar bricks over the cluster to give them some extra emergency food in case they're running out of honey. And I don't think they are, but I don't know. So I'm going to try to take a look and see what I see. And this is my sugar bricks. It's a thin sugar brick. It's been like this for a couple days, so I think it's dry. And this is a pollen patty. So the plan is I will actually just get the bees out of the way, flip this upside down so the pollen patty will be exposed. I peeled off some of the parchment paper on the pollen patty so the bees can start digging into it. And so the pollen patty will be on the bottom and the sugar will be on top. And that'll be enough to, get them going. I could spray it down with a bit of mist. It's a sugary mist. Yeah, might as well. Doesn't hurt, I guess. You put the mist on there just because it helps dissolve the sugar and helps the bees eat it, because the bees don't eat the solid sugar. They turn it to a liquid. They metabolize it through a liquid form before they eat the solid. So if you give them a little water, the idea is that it'll help them digest it quicker or easier, because they need some moisture in the hive to be able to convert the sugar to a liquid form. But usually, this is Newfoundland, man. There's plenty of moisture around, so I don't think I'm not generally too worried about that. But anyway, I don't think a little squirt will hurt. So let's see what happens. It's also very cold. It's very cold and damp. It's not like there's no wind, but it's not really warm. So there are those bees right there. So they're clustering. It looks like they're clustering on the right side. So there might be a cluster right over here. So this is the ventilation rim. This is going to be the tricky part. Okay, no major propolis seal broken. Let's see here. You can see the cluster there. It's not huge. That might just be the tip of the cluster, or it just might be a small cluster. I can't really tell right now. So I'm going to lift the top off and take a quick look over the frames over here to see if there's any honey. And if there is, well, I'm not going to worry too much about them, but I still might give them at least a pollen patty. So we'll see. They've got honey. There's honey over here. There's honey over there. It doesn't look like it's... If it was a slightly warmer, I think I would actually try pulling out one of those frames of honey to see how much honey is in those frames, but I think they got plenty. Okay, so now they got a rim, and that rim should be enough room for that sugar. And that water, that spray is actually warm, so I don't think it's going to cool them off or anything. So let's take a quick peek. Yeah, see, I don't know how I'm going to get them to go down. See, I'd rather have them completely down below the bars before I put the sugar on top of them. So I'll see if I can do it. If I had smoke, I think smoke might drive them down, but we'll see. All right, so there I did it. So the pollen patty is sitting on top of the bees, probably squished a few, and then I put the bit of a sugar brick on top of that. But I can see over here, these are all frames of honey, so they're not running short. And I don't want to let too much heat out just to make a video, so that's it, good enough. I can see that cluster is way, way down below. This is just the tip of the cluster. So I think they're actually pretty good. I don't have to worry about them. I'll come back in a couple of weeks just to make sure that they're not freaking out, but I think they have plenty of honey over there, and I'm going to leave them alone. So they got a little bit of sugar. I don't think they're going to eat it. I think they'll just look at it like it's garbage, and they'll just toss it out the hive. because they have plenty of honey. I really don't think I have to worry about this hive. But a little bit as a precaution, just to be safe. And you can see this here, this sugar, it hadn't completely hardened. So sometimes when I'm doing this, when I'm making these sugar bricks, they'll harden on top. So what I'll do is I'll take an empty pan just like this and flip it upside down so that the wet side is exposed, and let that dry out exposed to the air for a couple days. Anyway, it's mostly still solid, and this is the gooey part. Not the end of the world if I put that on the hive. It'll still dry up inside the hive and become a solid brick. So what we have in this hive now is so it's about a 7-centimeter rim, 2 inches, and underneath the inner cover. So they made room for the pollen patty and mainly the sugar brick. I think we've got still a lot of honey over here on this side of the hive, and some over here. The cluster is starting to break above the top bars, but I don't think it's huge. They're over on this side of the hive because this side of the hive is the side that gets the sunlight when there is sun, so it's the warm side. Sometimes it is so cold that they won't go over there, or they'll eat their honey out but still gravitate to this from the middle, and they'll gravitate towards this side but not think to go over there. So I mean, I guess there's little tricks of the trade. You can pick up those frames, move them over here and all that sort of stuff, but it can get a little funky when you got a big cluster of bees in the way. So I might just, instead of bothering with that, I might just slide over the sugar bricks to wherever the cluster is. And that's generally what I do. When I put something like sugar or pollen patty in the hive, I put it directly over the bees. The bees do not want to walk. They will go to the easiest location possible. If I put that sugar over there, they wouldn't touch it. They might, but most of the time they're not gonna venture far from the cluster and from their queen, right? So put it right over them. They go up and they dig in and have a good time. Okay, I'm recording this about 24 hours after I put some of the sugar brick into this hive, and I wanted to check to see if the bees are tossing it out, because I noticed that these bees had a lot of capped honey in the hive, and my feeling is if they don't need the sugar, they won't eat the sugar and they'll just toss it out. And if you look in here, you can see they're tossing it out already. There's piles of loose sugar already in the bottom of this hive. So that's the length of the sugar brick, and they're already tossing it out. I think this sort of thing doesn't happen with fondant or hard candy, because the bees can actually tear that apart and throw it away as easily as they can granules of sugar. But anyway, these bees don't need it, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I didn't think they needed it, and I'd take that as proof that they didn't need it, because they're just tossing it out like it's garbage.